everybody. Welcome to another episode of I Love Shreveport podcast. And of course, this is where we sit down and talk with individuals to help connect you, our viewers, with some important and needed information. Today, our conversation is about mental health. And this is a conversation that is in dire need of discussion. And we have today Miss Jessica Lattin, who's going to join us today. Miss Jessica is a counselor, therapist, who is devoted to helping with individual therapy, maternal mental health, couples counseling, and family therapy. She's a wife, a mother. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Miss Jessica Lattin. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us today on the I Love Shreveport podcast. We're super excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's jump right into this. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you got going on, and why did you decide to get in this mental health profession?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm a therapist. I own a private practice here in Shreveport. We're going on 6 years now. I opened up in 2019, so well, technically 2018, but I didn't get started till 2019, and it's just a big passion of mine to help bring mental health to the light, particularly with my own experience with postpartum depression. Wow. That's really how I kind of got into the specialty of maternal mental health as well.
Absolutely. So when people mention mental health, it's normally a thought of a bad thing. So I did some research, and mental health, from what I researched, is a vital for our overall well-being. Explain mental health as you know it.
So it's basically the state of your emotional and psychological well-being. Absolutely. And that could cover a variety of areas. Okay. So we're talking about physical health, spiritual health, even social health, and your mental health. So a lot of times people do have a negative connotation with it, but it's really just like any other thing we deal with.
So with that, what are some of the key components to mental health? If mental health is influencing our thoughts, feelings, and behavior, then what are some of the key components to mental health?
I mean, it really is just that. What you're thinking about can definitely impact how you feel, your mood, how you interact with others. It can affect your relationships, whether or not you do well, perform well at your job, at school, wherever.
So mental health, when you mention mental health, that's not always a bad thing.
No, not at all.
So it's something that is just a part of our everyday lives, mental health. So if someone is dealing with the negative side of mental health, what are some steps they need to take for help? Gotcha.
So, and I also like to tell people there's nothing negative about having a mental illness or anything like that. I want people to start thinking of it more so as like if you fell and broke your ankle or something like that. Like sometimes we just have certain things that we go through. Sure. And just think of it, your mental health, it's in your brain, right? Your brain is a part of your body. I want people to start thinking of it more as I'm taking care of my body.
Absolutely.
So one of the things to definitely kind of kickstart that helping with your mental health is to talk to somebody. Whether it be a professional, which I highly recommend, because sometimes our family and friends they don't have the capacity to be able to help us with severe issues, but talking to family and friends can be another alternative to that or a supplement to talking to a professional therapist.
Absolutely. And so mental health, is there an age limit for someone to deal with this side? I know you said don't say negative side, but that side of mental health, is there an age limit? How early can someone start dealing with these effects of mental health?
So we can experience trauma as babies. Epigenetics is something that is a study of basically how trauma and things and just things in general are passed down from generation to generation through our DNA. So if you think particularly even with the African American population, we have a lot of trauma in our DNA from our history. So that's why a lot of us may have high anxiety, we might have high blood pressure. Those things run in our families, not necessarily because of anything we did, but because of our genetics and our DNA and what has happened to us historically.
So you're saying trauma doesn't have to be attached to this. It can be passed down.
Right. So wow. You can be born with certain things like that, and there is definitely no age limit. I've had clients as young as 4. I've had clients as seasoned as in their 70s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kind of dive into something before we go to the next question. You said as early as 4.
Mm-hmm.
How do you communicate with a 4-year-old
Right.
that has to help them
Mm-hmm.
as relates to mental health?
So the first part of my my career was working primarily with children.
Okay.
I used to work in child protective services as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the therapy that children have access to is more so like play therapy, coloring. Children really express themselves a lot in play. So even as parents, if you're watching your child at home, just observe them for a while as they play with Barbies or any type of figurines, action figurines. They will act out things that they see in their daily lives. And also drawing is a great type of therapy for children as well to express themselves.
So as a parent then,
Mm-hmm.
you said watch them. What could be some of the things we're watching for? Us as parents, if we're trying to figure this out, what should we be looking for in our children? You said drawing and actions. What are those things that may help us?
So if they are possibly they could draw out their fears, right?
Okay.
They could draw certain people in their family.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a grandparent that might be deceased, but they still draw that person. So that's telling you they're thinking about that individual, or they might be afraid of something in particular. So it really does come out. We just have to pay attention to it.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier anxiety and some other things that's attached to mental health.
Yes.
Right.
It
So
can be.
how serious is that? How do you help with that, with the anxiety side of the mental health?
So just like with any mental health struggle, there's a big range, right? So we may have somebody that has a little test anxiety, or they might be nervous before they do an interview, something like that. And then there's the other side of it where we have people who have severe anxiety that has turned into having panic attacks, where they're having difficulty breathing. So just because someone has anxiety, it could be on either side of the spectrum or in between. And so I often tell people, if you do experience, whether it's anxiety, depression, whatever, don't necessarily focus so much on the term, and just look at what are the symptoms, how intense, how severe, how frequent are they happening, and then we can deal with it going from there.
So we're encouraging people to go and talk with someone, right? But I'm sure there's a fear that may be attached to going to talk to someone.
For sure.
What do you suggest? How does someone get over the fear and going to let somebody know, hey, I'm dealing with some of these things and I need some help? What do you suggest to get over that fear?
So I can definitely relate to that. I'm a therapist, but I have a therapist. I've been to therapy multiple times throughout different events in my life, and so it can be quite scary and intimidating. You don't know what to expect, or you think, what's the point? Like, nothing has helped so far. What is this person going to do that's going to be any different? But I just tell people, keep an open mind. And finding the right therapist is like dating, essentially. So you are going to maybe you might meet the love of your life in high school and y'all are together forever, or you might have to date a few times and pick out and see who is the right person for you. And that's how finding the right therapist or counselor is.
That was a good scenario you just put together right there, right? So you said that you're a therapist and you go to therapy.
Yeah, I have to.
So even the strongest persons need somebody.
Yes, because you think about it, everybody tells me their problems.
Absolutely.
So that's not only a mental thing, that's a spiritual thing. I'm taking in whatever, when people are coming in my office, when I'm on the computer with them doing telehealth, all of that is coming on me. I have to find a way to have an outlet to let that out. So a lot of my clients are that type of, they're the therapist for their mom. They're the therapist for their best friend. Everybody is coming to them with their problems and nobody checks on them. So that's why it's so important. Even if you are intelligent, strong, professional person, everybody needs help.
Absolutely. A pause there for those that are watching. Again, you may be the strongest person, but as Miss Jessica just mentioned, everybody needs somebody that you can talk to. So don't think you're in this alone.
Right.
That's really, really important.
Yeah, and a lot of people view it as a sign of weakness, or something is wrong with me, and that's why I try to get people to just change their thoughts about what therapy is, what you could use it for. You don't have to wait until something is really bad to go talk to somebody. I have people come talk to me if they're planning a big move or something like that. It doesn't have to be that you're actually anxious or depressed or have a severe mental illness going on.
Absolutely. And that's the word I need to use instead of the negative side, severe mental thing going on. So you also mentioned maternal, right? So what can new mothers or pregnant women do to help ensure their mental health stays good during and after pregnancy?
So number one, we have to take care of ourselves. You are actually a better parent if you take care of yourself first. And I know often as women, we are kind of trained to be nurturers and put our family first. But it actually should be the opposite. We should put ourselves first, do what helps you to feel good, and then you'll be in a better mood. You'll have more energy to manage your family and your household.
Absolutely.
Also, we need to ask for help. Many of us are used to doing things by ourselves, even if we do have a spouse or a partner with us. We're often just like prone to, okay, I got it all, I'm Superwoman. But nobody can do it all by themselves.
Absolutely. It's very important. How can parents ensure mental health in their children?
Communication. So I have two children. Yeah, I have two children. I have an almost 11-year-old. He'll be 11 in a week and a half. And I have an almost 7-year-old. A boy and a girl. So I get the best of both worlds.
Listen, I'm at that age also. Now, I have that many children. I won't say the total number, but I do have a 7-year-old as well, and a few older kids as well.
And, with my girl, there's so many emotions, so many ups and downs. With my son, he's going into middle school. Puberty is starting to hit. So I want them to know that they can talk to me about anything. I'm not going to, I have to be mindful of my facial expressions and my reactions when they tell me certain things, as to not turn them off from talking to me about serious topics, right? Because I want them to come to me rather than going to their friends, where they might get some misinformation, because we're talking about other 10 and 11-year-olds here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so communication is a huge deal, and we just like to spend time together. We always try to make time for them, even if it's 15 minutes. I read a book by Shonda Rhimes, The Year of Yes.
Let me pause. Is it the Shonda Rhimes?
Yes.
Now, there was a show on television that I watched. Is it How to Get Away with Murder? I think that was
Scandal
and Scandal.
Grey's Anatomy.
She's a great writer. I got to get that book. I love Shonda Rhimes. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No. So The Year of Yes was a very profound book for me. And in one of those chapters, she just talked about just sparing 15 minutes with your child can make all the difference, right? She was getting ready to go to the Emmys. She had on this big ball gown and getting ready to walk out her door, and her daughter was like, "Can you play with me?" And she was okay. And she got down on the floor in her big ball gown and just played Barbies with her daughter for like 15 minutes, and then went to the Emmys. It wasn't like, sometimes we're just so busy with life. It's important to let our kids know, like, hey, none of this matters. Like, you matter the most.
Absolutely. That is very, very important. Great tools. How can someone reach Jessica if they're watching this right now and they're saying, hey, I want to see if Miss Ladden is the therapist that I need, my family needs? How can they reach you?
So you can reach me at my website, jlcounselingllc.com. You can also reach me on all social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram. I don't really do TikTok and all that.
Come on, it's back.
I'm getting older.
Absolutely.
But you can reach me at JL Counseling LLC on those platforms.
Absolutely. I want to just jump right back in, because you did share that we're so busy daily as parents, and you mentioned some things. if staying in a room, is that a sign for your kids for you to maybe think there's something going on with your kids? The kids are always in the room, don't come out. Is that another sign? Because our kids these days are staying in their rooms. They're not going outside, doing different things. So is that part of something that you may need to look for as a parent as well?
Right. So isolation, withdrawal, that can be a sign of depression. It could be a sign of anxiety or avoidance of something, or sometimes they could be wanting their privacy. So that's why it's so important to just keep that communication going, and have that open door policy, and just go in and check on your kids. You just never know what's happening. I know sometimes we want to give our kids space, but there just has to be a healthy balance between giving them space, but also like just making sure you're checking in, making sure everything is good.
Absolutely. I go right in on the board.
Yeah.
Hey, I turn the mattress over, right? Checking everything, right? We just want to be sure. No, I'm just messing with you. So again, we appreciate you. This is very, very important information that is needed. So lastly, how do you get your children, if you think they need this therapy, how do you present that to them? Or do you strong arm them? Do you have a conversation with them saying, hey, we need to go talk to a therapist? Because for a lot of kids, they're not going to receive that. I talk to my friends, I don't need that. I don't want that. I'm embarrassed. How do you relay that information to children, teenagers also?
Right. I think one important component to that is ensuring that you don't make it sound like something is wrong with them, right? There's something wrong with you and you need to be fixed, okay? So we want to talk about therapy in a positive way. Sometimes it's helpful for the parent to go first for themselves and be an example, right? So when we are raising children, we need to be an example for them in every way, and not just do as I say, not as I do. How we were raised.
That, right?
I know that generationally that may be something that we were taught, but that's not always the best option. So definitely speaking about therapy and mental health in a positive way. Oftentimes we will talk about other family members who are struggling, whether it's with bipolar, schizophrenia, depression. We talk about them in negative ways, and our children hear and see that.
Right.
So that can cause them to be resistant. Also, in my practice, I don't see children. However, I will see them in family therapy because as somebody who used to work with children, often I would see the children and the parents but not implement what I taught the child. And so family therapy can actually be very beneficial for both people to gain skills and to learn how to communicate. I can see how you communicate in real time, and I could help fix some things in the moment.
Absolutely. This is my therapy session, right? I've never been to therapy. So you give homework.
Yes.
When they come in, there's things that they have to do when they leave. And then when they come back, they have to confirm that they did those things.
And I'm going to tell over time, if you've been putting the work in outside of therapy, you can't fool the therapist. People often come to therapy thinking, oh, I'll just act like everything is fine. I'll just pretend for a little while and then I'll be done. But we can tell if you're actually doing the work.
And that's tough to go to a therapist who's a mother also, because you can't fool your mother, right?
I see everything.
You can't fool your therapist. You see everything. Jessica, we appreciate you again for your time coming out today. Thank you very, very much. Again, those that are watching, this conversation, this discussion was very, very vital to your life. And of course, if you're dealing with mental health, you definitely want to go and pursue. Again, we've got one of the best here, Miss Jessica Ladden. So again, give them that information that they can reach out to you if need be.
Yes, jlcounselingllc.com, or you can reach me on Facebook or Instagram at jlcounselingllc.
Thank you all for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, City of Shreveport, LA. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time.